I can hear you in there, and I don't know what you're doing, but it sounds like it's not something that's on the list of things you're allowed to do.
Pantalones gratis.
Con Maccheroni Bologna.
Esto es Los Pantalones Libres de Podcast.
The Pants Free Podcast. Pantaloni Libero.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pants Free Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Pants Free Pod. I'm Marconi along with Nick. Nick, are you there?
I'm in my hole.
Oh, you are? And as soon as we started, of course, my cats start howling in the background. I don't know why. But I woke up today to cat puke in the middle of my dining room table.
Cat puke.
Is that like the equivalent of a horse head in your bed from my cats?
I have to be super honest. I have lived through so many weird situations with your cats that I am not surprised by anything that goes on. I do recall when you were moving and it took an army and two cat carriers on their end, a hose pipe and a closed bathroom door and several major injuries to get your cats just into the cat carriers.
Well, that was because I wasn't there, and my significant other at the time wasn't able to get the cat in the carrier. And then because we were on the radio, we had two Portland City firefighters go to my house and put the cat in the carrier for her.
Dude, you know, I looked at that bathroom afterwards. It looked like The Exorcist had visited your house. There was like blood from scratches and shredded bathroom items everywhere. I mean, it really looked like there was some kind of incubus that they were fighting in your bathroom.
Well, it's weird because I get up and I look at the table and I look at both of them and they're both just staring at me like, "Yeah, bitch, what?" And I don't get it. Like, I get up, I feed them, I make sure their bathroom is clean. I mean, they've got to know they're a pain in the ass. With they like every 5 minutes, and it starts permeating my nostrils when I'm doing voiceover in here, and then I'm getting up.
I can't imagine. I mean, your cats, you know, like they seem to be so abnormal, and I know you've done things like change their cat food and give them this and do that, and nothing's worked. I
used to have them on one of those things that they could just eat anytime they wanted. It was just always full. And then I realized that was the cause of like nonstop shittery.
But your cats are very skinny.
They are now, but then I took them off that and I just and then they don't understand why they can't have food all the time, every day, anytime they want it. And I'm like, because you too much. Man. Well, and they're going to be in upcoming YouTube videos, because if you have cats and aren't putting them on the internet, you're doing it wrong.
You're a single guy with two cats that puts his cats on the internet.
Yes, I mean, nothing says in the grocery aisles of life, nothing says, "Hey, look, ladies, I'm single," like a giant multi-cat bag of litter slung over your shoulder. If you haven't watched my YouTube video this week, check it out at me, Marconi, on YouTube. Nick just watched it. I mean, there's a lot of acting going on. I didn't realize that I had so much skits inside me, Nick. I mean, I'm like an SNL machine.
Well, at least you can get skits out, whereas other things can never be got out of you.
Okay.
I tell you something that's really weird about your video that makes me a little uncomfortable. Is because I know you and I know the history, is your letters to your Grandma Pearl.
Well,
just saying, a little bit scary.
I know. And I'm not trying to bring the party down, but she passed away several years ago, and Nick was my BFF that let me stay at his house for almost, I think, 2.5 weeks.
Right, and we did actually have to have the couch reupholstered after you left, but everything was fine.
Right. Well, so, but Grandma Pearl was a very big part of my life. Every day I think about her, and I think about calling her and talking to her and telling her what's going on. And so I just thought, well, why not make it into a bit on my YouTube channel, and I would just tell her what I'm doing in the video.
Doesn't worry you a little bit? You don't think there's something abnormal about that?
No. Well, obviously I'm doing comedy, so, I mean, an attempt at comedy, so no. I mean, it's just, and also my thought is like another chance for me to put her name out there, and I like that picture. So it made me.
I mean, I think the bit's a really good idea. It's just weird that there's no reference to the fact that Grandma Pearl is watching from above.
Yeah, I don't want people that watch the YouTube videos to even know. Like, maybe if I'm asked someday if my videos are important enough for people to ask those kind of questions, then yeah, I'll let people know the history. But unless they listen to the podcast, they're not going to know.
Right. You see, you learn so much by listening to the podcast. In fact, you could probably get a degree in knowing things.
Well, and I also have a behind-the-scenes podcast for my YouTube channel on Spreaker called Me Marconi. And usually on Tuesdays, before I edit the video, I tell you what's going to be in it and what to expect. And I usually start out thinking, oh, I'll do this for like 5 minutes. And then 30 minutes later, it's like, wow, I really do have diarrhea of the mouth.
I have news too.
Oh, you do? Oh, you do?
I do.
What's going on with you?
I think most of our listeners know who Tiny is. He used to work with us on the radio.
Yeah, he texted me that you guys were out for sushi, I think, the other day. So.
Oh, right. Well, we did go for sushi. So here's the deal. We were all very impressed by your schveltness and the fact that you run 30 miles a day.
Oh, God.
And wait a second. Leave her alone! Luna! So, everybody, most people know that, Tiny from mentions on the podcast and the fact that he's been on a few of the podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, we used to do a radio show together, if you're a fan from back in the day.
Right. Well, so here's the deal. We're very impressed with your schveltness and the fact that you've been running so much. So we decided that we're going to try and get healthy. And, Tiny's in a bit of a conundrum because he has some issues and they're getting worse. And, he doesn't want to end up in a wheelchair.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, his discs, his back screwed up and, his lips, but he's functioning.
What's wrong with his lips?
His hips.
Oh, like, did he have a stroke? What's going on?
Yeah. So he's always battled, being a large-boned child.
Sure.
And so we decided, and we've only done it for one day, so this could be completely gone by the end of it. We're just going to go to the gym.
Oh, together. Well, that's
together.
good.
So we have a gym membership, and we have an appointment for Wednesdays and Friday. I can't remember. We have 2 appointments sometime in the week. Actually, we went yesterday, and we're going to go today. We're going swimming together today.
You should start a Tiny and Nick losing weight podcast.
It might be fun. Well, the funny thing is, you know what he's most excited about, which is really funny. So we went and got a tour of the gym, and they have like an electric chair that lowers fat people into the pool. Right. Well, today we're supposed to do half an hour of elliptical and then half an hour of swimming. Although I'm not sure how that's going to go. 2 giant white fat dudes getting in the pool. It might, the Asian ladies who seem to overtake the pool most of the days are probably going to cry.
All I can say is, if that happens, make sure you plug your blowholes.
Yeah.
This is the Pants Free Podcast. Nick, are you hungry?
I'm always hungry, and I bought a loaf of Dave's Killer Bread yesterday to quench my hunger.
And where'd you go to get it?
I actually got it from New Seasons.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the great thing about living in the city of Portland, the home of Dave's Killer Bread, is that you can get it pretty much anywhere.
There's a few places you still can't get it. They don't have it at the police station, and they don't have it at the public bathrooms in the parks.
Don't say that. Dave will start supplying them. He has the best promo team, too. They do it all. Like, the people here, he'll just call a guy and say, hey, send Marconi a box of bread, and then they'll have a guy run it over to me.
Nice.
So
is he delivering now to your house?
or to my work, wherever I am. If I say I'm downtown and I want a friend to try some of your bread, it'll be like, give me 5 minutes. It's like I send up the bread signal, and here it is.
Can we call him right now? Because I'm hungry.
All right. Dave's Killer Bread. If you haven't ever heard of it, you probably are a first-time listener to the podcast. Check it out at daveskillerbread.com. Find out if it's near you, and if not, then order it online at daveskillerbread.com. Just say no to bread on drugs.
Here's the latest news from around the world, too, right in your own backyard.
Are you ready? What's in this week's pants-free news?
Well, we're recapping the stories that were of interest to us this week. And Bobby Brown got a little slap on the wrist, a 55-day in jail slap.
I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot for Bobby Brown, but in a normal person's life, like if you or I were in jail for 55 days, it would seem like an eternity.
Yeah, but this is DUI number 3 for him.
By the way, is Chris Brown Bobby Brown's nephew? They share a lot of similar traits.
Yeah, I don't know if they're related. We should go to genealogy.com and check it out.
So what did he do? He got a DUI, like his third one?
Back in October, his third DUI, cops pulled him over because he was driving erratically, and when they stopped him, they smelled the alcohols.
Wow. Do you think Rihanna and Chris Brown are like the Bobby Brown and Whitney, the young Bobby Brown and Whitney without crack?
Yeah. Well, who knows if they're without crack, but we presume they are. Yeah, I think they're it's exactly the same sort of thing. They can't be apart. They can't be together.
This is a weird kind of a cryptic thing, but I kind of feel like Rihanna is gonna die early. I don't know why I'm saying that right now. It's like I'm not a psychic or anything, but something tells me that might happen.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, and because like I said, like the Whitney, the Whitney comparison, like she's like a young Whitney Houston in a lot of ways, and her choices seem to be bad. Because what's weird is Bobby Brown seemed like a better choice than Chris Brown to me. I don't know why.
Right. Well, Chris Brown and Rihanna probably going to end up having kids. Just on this note of Bobby Brown, he has to turn himself into jail by March 20th. Not only did he get the 55 days in jail, but he pleaded no contest, by the way. He also got 18 months in an alcohol program that he has to complete, and he's going to be on probation for 4 years.
Anything that you do wrong can be solved with admitting it's an addiction.
Strangely enough, they have discovered horse meat in IKEA meatballs.
Yes. Have you ever eaten those meatballs before?
I'm not a fan, actually. Yeah. They taste too processed to me.
Oddly enough, they put the horse meat also in some of their furniture products.
There was this huge scandal when this Irish food processing company was discovered to be using horse meat inside their frozen meals. And now what they're discovering more and more is tracing meat and the way it's purchased. So a company will put a meat order in, and then some company will order it from another company, and it goes all around the world. And then there's some company in Czechoslovakia orders it, and it ends up that the meat they're actually getting, which is supposedly beef, is just horse meat.
Well, it's weird because to me the only thing more disgusting than this is choosing to eat meatballs at a furniture store.
No. Well, it's the IKEA way, isn't it? They have the little restaurant with their Swedish yumminess.
Well, it's so. I think what disturbs me, the best way to tell people about horse meat is surprising them. Like, hey, you just ate horse meat, and then the person's like, oh, it's pretty tasty, actually.
Right.
So I don't. But it seems people are so accepting of the that they put inside them.
Well, I'm not a big fan of meat unless it comes from some sort of whole farm anyway, because the way they treat animals is pretty sick.
Oh, by the way, breaking news, Baskin-Robbins is using real horse milk to make their ice cream. It's delicious.
It's the news!
I feel a bit sad for Tim Cook. He's trying to run Apple after Steve Jobs is gone. But long story short, some of the people that do business with Apple are saying that they're easier to get along with now Steve Jobs is dead.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that it's better, because to me, Apple is not a better company than it was than when Steve Jobs was there. And you look at their bottom line, and it proves that. I mean, the iPhone 5 may be a success, but there's not a lot of changes in it. It's basically an extra row of apps available to you, with that little extra half inch or whatever. And I love Apple, but they've got to get off their ass and do something now that Steve Jobs is gone, and he's gone with all of his ideas.
I think Steve Jobs wasn't the only, he was a great motivator and a great pusher in certain ways, but I don't think he was the guy that came up with all the great product ideas.
I'm not saying he is, but he was the one. Now this is a difference. Like, look at a guy like, and he has a book out, so this is why he's at the top of my mind, Clive Davis. Right. He doesn't know how to sing a song to get himself out of anything. But he can pick a hit song, and he knows that it's going to make money. Right. That's what he's meant to do. He's not an artist. He's not a person that could create music. I don't think he writes music, but he could tell Rihanna what song to sing to put it on the radio, or Mariah Carey, or whoever he did.
And some of us are good producers, and some of us are better artists.
Steve Jobs was not only a person who could get in there and do the work because he built the company and sold it and went back to it, was fired from it. This whole story is crazy. He was good at knowing I'm going to try a bunch of stuff that may not work, but I'm going to try stuff because I believe in it. And the iPhone, the iPod, all these ideas may not have been his personal ideas, but he was smart enough to go, hey, this new guy came up with this thing, and it's going to be the next big deal. And so he's part of our company, and I'm going to promote it, and we're going to start working on it tomorrow. Right. And I think that's the kind of thing that Steve Jobs was great at, is finding what was going to be the next big thing, because he did it.
Well, I think the Apple philosophy is what made them win, and the philosophy was, it should be beautiful and simple.
Yes.
And that was their philosophy, and it wasn't really about the product. Apple don't make iPhones. Apple don't make computers. Apple don't make iPads. Apple don't sell music. Apple make things beautiful and simple.
Mm-hmm. They make it – it's like they're the conduit between us and what we want.
Right.
But, the fun thing is to bring in a pile of laundry to the Apple Genius Bar. Have you ever done that? Oh, man. They look at you so weird. But they still do the laundry. That's what I'm saying. Under Tim Cook, they'll still do the laundry for you.
Also, I wanted to ask you about this story, because I found it highly entertaining this week, and I'm not sure that you found it highly entertaining. But now Twitter can be done after you're dead. Well, not quite. That's a little bit of a stretch of the truth. But there's this new app for Twitter that allows you to tweet after your death.
It's called Lives On, and I have already signed up for it.
Yeah. See?
I don't know what it is. It says it starts in March, so we'll know, tomorrow, I guess?
Right.
But it's weird because I don't know what it does exactly. Does it explain in the article?
A little bit. I mean, basically what you do is you can preload stuff, I think, and then it'll send out your tweets, after you're dead. But
so
it'll learn your style as well, of what the sort of things you tweet about, and then it'll copy your style and then retweet after you're dead.
Well, let's hope that it can live tweet the Oscars for me after I'm gone.
God damn, not as long as we don't have to do that again, because that was painful. Not our portion, but the Oscars themselves were painful.
I know the Oscars were awful, but we did a podcast. We posted it Monday. We did a similar podcast for the Grammys, but for this one, I just decided to introduce it and then let you read my tweets.
Right.
And I think it turned out pretty funny.
Right.
Because to me, even a bad joke sounds funnier when you read it in your accent. So, and all my jokes are, what I consider bad. It's diarrhea of the internet, and I give it back to you once again. It's regurgitated diarrhea. Listen to that podcast.
Oh, yeah. Now it's a little more frightening. And that's the news as it stands.
Oh, thank you, Nikki J.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, another Pants-Free podcast in the books. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at PantsFreePod. On Facebook, where do you find us on Facebook, Nick?
Pants-Free. The best brands you can go to is go to the website, which is pantsfreepod.com. You can also find Marconi on his vlog at memarconi.com. And his blog at marconibaloney.com.
By the way, Nick just launched into this. I did not prompt him to say any of that stuff. Oh, and you can find Nick at nickjmiles.com.
Excellent.
Well, thank you both for listening. Until next time, this is Marconi with Nick J. Miles saying,
I fell in the deep end of the pool and the lifesaver in my mouth did nothing.
Pantalones a libero.
Hands-free podcast.
Hands-free podcast.
Hands-free podcast.
Hands-free podcast.